Wow, it
Sorry.
it feels like years since I
Yeah.
was last sat here.
Yeah, definitely.
Since I first met you
Yeah, and said you should go for it.
and said you should go.
I don't think they know. The lady sat over here is the lady who told me to start vlogging. And yeah, said go for it. So it's all your fault. I'm joking.
Ha! I'll take the credit for that one, no problem.
Yeah.
So what happened since that day?
So loads has happened. I went
How long
for
ago
it.
is it? Just so people
2
know.
years.
2
No,
years.
it was 2.5 years since you told me to go for it. And then I waited 6 months and then found Theo and then started. So it's been 2.5 years since we had the conversation. And yeah, it's been like a whirlwind. And I really feel like through showing other people how to help with their mindsets, helped me with mine. It really helped me to document the journey, to push through certain things. And also seeing like how I've helped people is obviously incredible. The messages I get from people on a daily basis is just insane. So it's been amazing. It has been hard work though.
So I think from my point of view, when we spoke that time ago, the biggest thing that I remember was your anxiety.
Yeah.
Which, as an outsider, I think is absolutely incredible. The transformation.
Yeah.
What would you...
I would definitely say like the anxiety side of things is completely gone. I don't even think that's the self-help stuff. To be honest, for me, that was finding God. And that's something that's massively changed in my life. And I've had to change my perception of a lot of things in life, which is amazing. But again, it comes with its own challenges. But no, the anxiety side, I don't really ever feel I struggle with. So like that side of mindset, I feel super strong with. I would say like some things that still creep in maybe is like self-doubt can still come in, especially when I get tired and stuff. That always niggles there in the back. So that's still there a little bit sometimes.
So what's the difference between, you talk about self-doubt, and there's always a fine line between confidence, overconfidence, arrogance, and all the rest of that. So when you talk about self-doubt, how does that fit into how do you feel confident again, or how do you feel in a better place after you have a period of self-doubt? How do you come out of that?
I would say for the past 2 years, it's got easier and easier and easier. But recently I do feel like I've hit a bit of a point which I'm struggling with it. And I do think that it heavily relies on being tired a lot of the time. And I feel like when we get run down, stressed out, that's when we start to doubt ourselves. That's when the negativity comes in. So it's kind of figuring out a way to regroup yourself. And I'd say for the past 2 years, I've been able to do it quite easily, like get to that point. Yeah.
So what's the best part of the last 2 years?
Helping people. Realising that you can take your worst day and make it someone's help, which I think is really cool. Like I've had days where I'm like, I'd like to put them to the back of my mind, like shows where I'm like, this is just awful. And the fact that I can take that, put it on film, put it out there, and someone's like, wow, like that's really helped me, and I don't feel alone. I think that's what's amazing about it, is you can take something that was so bad in my eyes and then it can be so good in someone else's. Yeah, that's definitely it.
Do you ever question whether you should put something out?
Yes, I used to quite a lot. Actually, I think my mum was worse than me. She was very much, she knew that I was making myself very vulnerable putting it out. I'd say I'm quite an open person though, naturally, so I don't find it difficult. I'd say the one thing that I did probably struggle with is I didn't want people to think I was moany all the time, because I'd be editing it back and be like, I'd had a bad day and I was like, all I'm doing is moaning and whinging. I was like, that's hard. But then the reaction they get is actually better than the days that were kind of like mediocre, or like, oh, I had an okay day, or I had a good day. I got better reactions from the ones that were tough. So with time, I actually learnt that it was a bit easier.
So do you find that through your vlogging, it's not just helping people, it's actually helping you evaluate your days better when you replay them back?
Definitely. It makes you see yourself. And it actually helped me in my self-confidence a lot, because I used to kind of be like, oh, I don't like myself from this angle. It's really weird. And I'd be like, if someone was stood here, I didn't used to like this angle. But because I film myself all the time, I feel quite confident not wearing makeup and not looking perfect all the time, because I see myself all the time like that. So that was really cool. I can't remember what the question was now.
Do you evaluate yourself when you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then I think for the mindset side of things, you can really see, like I was saying, sometimes I edit and be like, wow, I'm super moany. Or sometimes I edit and be like, oh, I was really positive after that. So it is really cool, and it's really nice to look back. So say I've got now, I think, over 177 vlogs. So I can look back and say, well, this was what was going on here, and now we've moved to this, which is nice.
So after the last fabulous, inspiration, action-packed last 2 years, where are you now?
Such a big question. So recently, and it's happened a few times, I've felt like I've burnt out, and I have mentioned it on the vlogs, and I think people have seen me where I think life comes in ups and downs, definitely. But I would say, like, now I've reached a point where I've burnt out and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take one day off, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to be fine after that, and I'm not. And I really can't get myself like back, and I feel like I'm just completely empty, and I'm trying to refill my tank up quickly because I'm like, come on, lots to do, and I just feel so drained from it, which is really sad because it was such a joyous thing for me. I have realised though, actually, that it's, what are we in now, September? No, August, that I haven't had a holiday since November last year. So I haven't had more than 2 days off. Actually, I don't even know, have I had 2 days off? No, I haven't had more than 2 days off for nearly a year, which is bad. The other thing as well that comes with it is when I'm on holiday, I still vlog. So there's still the side of it where you're editing all the time. I still have my phone with me. So another thing that I do struggle with quite a lot is I've got so many different platforms. I've got Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook Messenger, personal Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, email.
Yeah.
So that's 9 different platforms, messages coming in and out. I do feel like there's a pressure to uphold this this way of me always being accessible, which I always wanted to be accessible, but it's quite a lot, like it's quite a big strain. And like I was saying, even when I go on holiday or I'm at shows or I'm doing whatever, or even on my days off, I'm still there. I'm still at the end of the phone, and that does get tiring.
Do you feel like you're going to let people down if you don't respond to every single message?
That is genuinely how I feel. And I find it very hard to be like, I'm going to reply to that person but not that person. And what I do understand is, for example, I get a lot of messages from maybe younger followers who, from an outsider, you could look at it being like, that's just such a stupid question. But for me, I know when I was that age, it would have meant the world if somebody had replied to me. I know how much it means to them. Like, I get people say, for example, I follow them back because they said, can you follow me back for my birthday? I do that and they're in tears. Like, so when you kind of figure out like a positive impact you can have on someone, it becomes a little bit like, I always feel like I'm on this treadmill of really wanting to help people. But the thing is with social media is you're so accessible that it's not just, you know, a couple of people, it's a couple of thousand people, and it can get quite a lot.
So at the risk of it turning it into a counselling session, what advice, because you're great at advice, if I was sat where you are and I said to you, I'm struggling, I feel like I have to respond, I've got 10 people around me going, I want your attention, no, I want your attention, no, I need your attention, I need your attention more than somebody else.
Yeah.
What would your advice to me be?
Take a step back. Take a step back and look at the bigger picture. So you're running, like, life's a long race. It's not a quick, short thing. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So it's better to take some time out, regroup, and then you can run the race better than trying to keep up on this hamster wheel.
With the increase in followers, which is obviously a great thing, so you're doing great things for people, and I think, you know, it would be wrong of me not to say that to you, and I think there's a lot of followers that have said that and would be at the end of this going, definitely, you've helped so much.
Yeah.
Do you think it's realistic that you can continue to answer?
No.
Is that hard to accept?
I know it's not realistic. Where it's hard is where do you draw the line? What I've really struggled with is where do I draw the line of when do I stop messaging people back? For example, like a cut-off time, like say 8 o'clock every night. I've tried that and I can't stick to it. I find that very difficult to...
It's like putting the phone down on somebody.
Yeah, it's really hard. And because it's literally there all the time, my phone is there all the time. It's like, I'll just, this is how bad it is. I'll get to the point where I'll go to the loo and I'll be like, I'll just reply to one message. And do you know what I mean? Then you know that you're like...
You've got a ring print.
Yeah, then you know you've got an issue. When you're sat on the toilet like, ooh, da 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 da. But
she actually replies from the toilet.
Yeah, no, that's not for everyone. Well, it's really bad, isn't it?
So you're clearly driven by a desire to help people. What is it that really prevents you from taking that step back? Because you struggle to turn your phone off and keep to those boundaries that you clearly set yourself.
Yeah.
What is it that, if you can say, is there something that you have identified that really you're struggling to deal with too?
I'd say I feel my identity now lies in it, and that for me feels it never feels secure. So for me, my identity lies in me being successful, whether that's helping people in my riding, in my business, whatever. If I don't think I'm succeeding, I don't feel happy with myself. So I think that's where the constant drive comes from, which is great if you can contain it, but I feel like I can't contain it at the moment. So, we've been doing filming for OCD TV, and it gets to the point where I can't keep this successful perfect thing up, so then I break down and cry. There's no middle ground. There's either I'm holding it together really well or I'm over here, and I feel like I need to take a step back to just find a little bit of a middle ground, because I'm on a seesaw. I'm either really high or really low. Because life is not one big success. It doesn't go through it being really successful, and I feel this is where I'm at a dangerous stage at the moment, where my happiness relies on my success. And I don't think that's a good place to be. So I think I'm having to take a step back to go, it's okay if you're not constantly pushing forwards or driving forwards. Actually, you're helping yourself in the long run to take a step back. But it is really difficult, because one side of me is saying, you're going to get behind, you are not going to help as many people as you could be doing. There's people out there that need to hear this message of positivity. You could be helping people with X, Y, and Z. Whatever it is, there's that side of me going, well, I'm not going to push forwards. But then I literally feel like I don't have any choice now, to take a step back, because it's hit a point, and I knew it would have to take me hitting a point like this for me to say I'm just going to chill.
Just to probably re-quote some of what I think, again, your followers would recognise from the journey over the last couple of years, something that you would share, and you've shared recently, is that it's very difficult to give when you're on empty. Definitely. Whether that be in the saddle, or whether that be as a daughter, or as a friend, or as a in whatever capacity you find yourself in. Do you feel that that's where you are?
Yeah, definitely. So for example, this interview was meant to be about, we're meant to be talking about mindset. I really would want to sit here and say I feel like I've got it all together, and 2 years I've been getting it now, and it's all exciting, but I can't, and I don't think it would be helping people if I did pretend that I always had stuff together, because I think the one thing that I haven't ever tackled is taking a step back. Because a lot of people always message me, they're like, you're crazy, you do so much, how do you keep it up? And the fact is that I don't. And this is what happens when you try and do the impossible, you then have to take a longer step back. Whereas if I'd actually have just chilled it out a little bit, I don't think I would have had to get to this point so emotionally drained.
I was going to ask a question then, but I'm actually going to fill the gap and just say something again, at the risk of sounding like a counsellor. I think one of the things that you've majored on, again, in all of your vlogs, is whether you've said the words or not directly, is a value, and your own personal, unique value. And I think, and I'm sure again that there's going to be a great load of people who are supportive of you hearing this, to say that Olivia Towers is Olivia Towers, and she's given so much of herself and put herself really out there and made herself vulnerable, and that is emotionally giving and giving and giving.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, and again, you know, we could all say this to each other. We have to continually support each other and repeat back to each other our own, come on, you can do it. Sometimes you need someone to say that to you. You got this, Olivia. But maybe it is time that you give yourself a break.
Yeah.
So what's your, how are you going to deal with this?
So my plan is to take a month off social media, take a month off creating content, because that's again what comes along with it. Like creating even the quotes is hard. It's fine when you're having an inspirational moment, but it doesn't always go like that. So it's difficult. It's difficult posting everything out all the time. So to take a step back from social media, all of them, I'm going to delete them all off my phone. It doesn't mean, like, see, there's part of me now wanting to kind of justify it. Like, I'm worried that people are going to be like, I'm not going to follow her anymore because of this. And there's part of me that's like, I'm going to lose everything I've built, but that's so silly. And that's something that I'm going to have to face with doing it. But I'm going to take a break off social media. I'm not going to take on any new commitments. I'm going to still be doing my teaching, my coaching, my riding. And I feel like it's going to be such a good time for me to really utilise that, and then also just focus on my well-being.
So I get I'm getting a little bit of, why would people stop following you for that? Because from my point of view, what you're about to do is something that probably quite a few of us think, I'm going to have a break from Facebook, you know, and that's the only thing we ever have a break from, and that's because, you know, we spend too much time on our phones.
Yeah.
But when people realise, when you're contacted by 10 or 12 different, that, you know, your phone's going whilst you've got 10 bings going on your phone, your notifications for 15 people in 15 minutes, and you've got to, and you're riding, and then you've got to do everything else. I think actually what you're doing takes quite a lot of discipline in itself and commitment, and I think it would be great if we could support you and maybe actually look at what you're doing and say, maybe we need a break from social as well. You know, maybe
I do think as well, like, this is sort of off topic, I do feel that for me personally, me being that busy, I was trying to cover something up. And without going into too much detail, it was definitely the fact of, for example, like, this is the first time I've been single since I was 16. I'm now 25. So what replaced me being by myself, what replaced me being single, was working harder. So what do I do on my day off? I don't have a boyfriend to go and do something with. My friends are with their boyfriends. I don't want to sit here by myself. I either sat there and cried or I worked. So it just became a habit of working. It just became this like spiral of like, I've just got to keep doing something that though my mind doesn't feel alone. Now I feel at a point where I feel like I can deal with it. It needs to be dealt with. I need to be able to not do anything. And that's again having to take a step back.
Well, I think it's great. And I'm somebody who constantly says I'm going to delete Facebook off my phone and then reinstalls it about maybe 4 minutes later because I see, I need to do that or I need to post that. So I think, you know, I can't wait to see the refreshed, reinvigorated, relaxed.
I can't wait for people to stop saying, "Oh, you look so tired." Oh, you look really tired. I know, I do.
You need to be on iron tablets now.
Yeah.
No, you know, you're a very special person, and
I hope it inspires somebody who's out there who's like, I'm so tired, to be like, it's okay to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
So again, I'm just trying to lead by example.
Life's a journey, and I'm very privileged to have been on it as far as I have, and I'll try not to message you for a month. I can't promise it. But good.
I'll be back.
Yeah,
I will be back. So that sounds like, what's that film?
I'll be back.